you so much for joining me today. As you know, we're here to talk about Lehigh's climate action strategy, and we're just really happy that you were willing to interview with us today. So,
I'm glad. Thanks for asking.
of course. So, I guess to get things started, can you tell us a little bit about your department and maybe a little bit about what you do there?
Sure. I am part of the Communications and Public Affairs Department, which is, a lot of times we think of ourselves as kind of outward facing, getting the word out about Lehigh to various, to the world at large or to the Lehigh family. We work on the alumni magazine. We help with the admissions office with a lot of their recruiting materials. We work on the kind of the overarching lehigh.edu website. So if it's like a top level navigation, we say that tends to be our websites versus departmental offices, but like things about Lehigh or getting started with housing or what academics are before you get into the nitty gritty details. A lot of that kind of overview sort of work. A lot of our design team, press releases with our publicity team, web team, stories, everything on Lehigh News tends to be, not everything, but many things tend to be on that. And my group, we're kind of the marketing reputation management side of things. So getting the word out, what I like to say is we try to make Lehigh look good, which is not hard, but there's a lot of things to talk about that we do, which makes us look great. So we like to get those words out. And my position is really focuses on the social media. So I'm with Lehigh, use Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter handles. Either I tend to be doing those or working with our other team. Our interns do a lot of work on those too, especially with Instagram stories now, because the students get really engaged with that. Using those tools to engage with our community, because they certainly do seem to like to engage.
That's awesome. It's such like a big job, I would imagine, being kind of like the face of the university in a sense. Um,
Fortunately, I'm not the face of the university. The Asa Packer statue is still much better at that. Yeah.
behind the scenes.
Right.
So transitioning a little bit, can you tell us like one thing that you know about Lehigh sustainability and one thing that you would maybe like to learn more about?
Yeah, I was thinking about that one thing. There's so much that you all do, and I think that's every time I work with you, and it's like, wow, and then that, and then that, and that. Certainly in my office, we got involved with um, the office sustainability program and getting that certification and all that. So your office is really good, helping us to become better stewards of how the environment work, how we impact the environment with what we do in the office. I know our before we all went virtual, our recycling was getting much better. It was impressive to see how much stuff was being recycled versus what stuff was in the trash, and then recently how we were cleaning all of our recycling. Once we were learning the impact of clean recyclables versus dirty recyclables, helping that get word out was really good for us. As far as what to know, I'm sure there's a lot. I know there's more coming that I don't know about yet. And I feel like even though I like to be environmentally conscious, there's so much impact we have on things. And so it's been helpful every time we meet to learn something new.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. Thank you so much for that feedback. So when you hear that Lehigh is developing a climate action strategy to map out how Lehigh can be carbon neutral, what does that mean to you?
Hmm. That's great. I think carbon neutral is huge because we have such an impact on our environment as Lehigh is a large business. There's a lot of buildings, there's a lot of electricity, there's a lot of gasoline and cars that go around. All these things have an impact for not just a beautiful campus. All those things are also impacting that beautiful campus and their trees and the grass and the squirrels and everything, our hawk nest, everything that goes with that. And so how we can do that, but then also how we can be leaders for, this community. The Lehigh County, Northampton County, that whole region was built off of steel and how the impact of that, and it's a transportation hub, and all those things impact the environment. And so we were born out of that, and now that I think that we are moving towards becoming, you know, new energies and those things being good jobs and good in careers moving forward. How can the university help towards that, and then how can we be a leader in that, not just as far as what research we can provide, but also what we can do, like lead by example as well, because I think that helps all of our community.
Yeah, and that's a really good insight, like kind of recognizing, where we've come from and the path that we're gonna, pave moving forward. So moving in a slightly different direction, what is the best advice that you've heard about choosing more sustainable behaviors?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, I mean, I I look at things like through a, a cycling eye, and my when I'm not working or hanging out with the family, I tend to be riding a bike, and so it's getting outside and getting that kind of air, but then also using it as a method of transportation. It's not always easy in the Lehigh Valley, and I often joke about like many colleges are great bike campuses because it's so easy to get from one classroom to another. I went to University of Florida, which is a huge campus, and so we use the bike all the time. Lehigh is harder because of the hill, um, so you're not seeing as yeah, that's a thing. So once I realized, I'm like, that's why there's not a bike shop right there. But there is now a bike shop right there. Cutters is a really good bike shop, and having them involved with the team has kind of helped getting that going and cycling as an alternative. I think with e-bikes becoming more prevalent, they'll make the hill a lot easier. So we might be seeing more students using e-bikes to get to and from campus up and down the hill, you know, as well with our electric buses and things like that.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And so, another way to kind of help out with all of this as we're moving forward is to actually join in on one of our upcoming ideation sessions for the climate action strategy. And so, those are coming up on October 13th. There's one on October 16th, and then there's another series of them the following week on Monday, October 19th. So, there's a bunch of opportunities to get involved. And so, I guess like what is your advice to us on how we can best engage others in this important work that we're, about to embark on?
I mean, I think you do a really good job on social media, and I think there's more we can definitely do with that. I think as we've all gone virtual, we have noticed on the Lehigh U social medias that it's far more active than it was before. And so using that as a communications tool is huge. It's how a lot of people are staying connected to campus, even where they're not on campus or in South Bethlehem, whether the Lehigh, um, what's the word for it? Remote campus can be wherever. And so being connected in that regard and using more of those tools, using the stories and using lives and things like that. You know, it's always like, yay, another Zoom thing, but they are really good for being able to do things versus I have to go across campus and never mind, I'm not going to go to that thing. Versus now it's just easy to go click. I can now join that thing and be involved, and how I can make those small impacts here at home too, because I'm still recycling better than I was a year ago here at the house. And so making those kind of things happen is still good.
That's awesome. Well, Dave, thank you so much again for joining me today. It was a pleasure talking with you about all of
Yeah.
this. So, yeah, always good to talk.
Well, thanks for doing all of this work. It's super important. So thank you.